Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it Dealing with Strong Emotions. It's based on a comment or a question somebody asked, and the person says, "And what do you do when someone has taken advantage of you multiple times and you can no longer bear the anger of the indifference and abuse? It is very difficult for me sometimes not to feel anger. Besides practicing forgiveness, is there anything else one can do?" Okay. First off, I just want to point something out here. These videos are pointing to the core of what we are, which is ever-present beingness, which is nothing that intellectually can be understood, but it cannot be denied. Now, this can be addressed on a psychological, superficial way, which is mostly what people would do. They just try to find out, figure out with the mind what to do, how to handle it, and they may go to psychologists or therapists, and I am not here suggesting what to do or not to do. I'm just pointing to a possibility that might have been overlooked, and that's it. If you feel that what I'm going to share or what is being shared in these videos resonates, and it does resonate because you believe what I say, that's not the resonance I'm talking about. I'm talking about if something in you feels that, it feels true to you, and you put it into practice, and you see that the consequences, the peace that you are always, that's fine, because that is, if anything, that is what this is pointing to. Okay? I know this is going to be a very challenging subject for many people who are very identified with the mind, and I may even get misunderstood, or who knows, maybe accused, because we're pointing to the simplicity of the nature of our beingness, which has nothing to do with the story that the mind conjures up about anything. Okay, so having said that, the person says here, what do you do when someone has taken advantage of you multiple times and you can no longer bear the anger or indifference and abuse? Let's start with that. Right now, and this is no theory, right now I'm going to ask you to simply be. It's not that I'm asking you to simply be. You are always being. You can never not be. But that's the entry point or the language that I'm using. Okay? Right now. Right now you are being. Resting in beingness. Okay? A feeling, an emotion, something shows up in this field of beingness. That we can refer to as some sort of a contraction. That's the best word I have ever heard. I've heard a couple of people using that word, and to me, I think that is the best one. It's a contraction, right? Don't label it anything. It's just that. Well, that contraction, in the same way that it shows up, it also dissipates. Simple as that. Now, thought comes in the way, and thought, which based on the belief that I am this seeming individual, which is a construction itself, begins to make up a story. I am feeling this emotion, or beginning with I, this individual is the one feeling the emotion, but again, I am feeling this emotion because of blah, blah, blah. That's a story. What would happen if I allow the emotion to just be without making a story around it? What would happen? You see? What would happen is that life, or the seeming human experience, is a constant movement of energy. Movement, I don't like to use the word energy, but I don't know what words to use. And that seeming contraction takes the form of emotion. It's a contraction. And then the mind labels it anger, I don't know, resentment, desire. It doesn't matter, but it's still a contraction. You follow? Resting in beingness, contraction seems to appear, thought seems to appear, who wants to somehow justify that feeling or contraction, and that's when the problem comes in. You see? And the reason why we want to hold on, or most of the time we hold on to that thought of that feeling, is because, again, we want to hold on to a sense of identity, which is this me who thinks that is feeling those feelings, and this me who feels being unjust, who's being taken advantage of and everything. But in the end, life simply is and your life, and this is pointing to that. Okay? Now, when the person talks about people taking multiple advantage of you and everything, well, let's look at it again. When I believe that I'm a separate entity, meaning feeling scarce, well, there's a tendency to hold on to the appearance, or look for something in the world of appearances to somehow complete me, to somehow make me feel whole. You see? And then what we do is that everything we do it to try to get something back. You see? Nobody can take advantage of me if I'm not expecting anything from them. You follow? I repeat, no one could take advantage of me if I'm not expecting anything in return. So how could someone take advantage of me? I do you a favor, I lend you some money, I do that's mine. If I do it expecting anything in return, yeah, there's a possibility that could happen. But let's see, why am I doing what I'm doing? Of course, there's not a why per se, but we need to use that word for now. Again, when I believe I'm a separate entity, everything I do is usually either to try to get attention, feel better or right by myself, fulfill a need that I think I have. You see, everything is done with a condition. When you know that you are, then actions happens, and because there's no condition, nobody can take advantage of me. Because from the get-go, I don't put my trust in anyone. Not because I'm someone who's not trusting or, like facetious or anything. No. Human beings are simply expression of the totality, and they act according to their life journey, whatever, with their script. No one can guarantee anything. Have you noticed specifically, for example, in Until Death Do Us Apart, how many people get married? Why do they keep getting divorced? Because a human being cannot make a promise of future, because I don't know what I'm going to be thinking tomorrow. There's no tomorrow, but within the context we appear to be, I don't know. But when you are resting in the self, you see, the self does not expect anything from the world. So what could happen if I lend you some money, for example? If I lend it to you, I'm heading to disaster. But if you ask me for it and I said, okay, well, here it is, and I know in my heart, I know I'm not expecting that to come back. If it does come back, oh, cool, that's interesting. But if it doesn't come back, I cannot feel betrayed because I was not expecting anything from anyone. You see? So as long as you believe you're a separate entity, of course, then the emotions will come up, the contractions will come up, and then you attach yourself to them and you try to give a meaning to them, and then the whole thing gets very complicated. But if I am, then emotions, contractions, they will show up, but in the way they contract, they decontract. I hope that word exists, You see what I'm saying? And then life is just that. From the moment you wake up in the morning is what happens. See, but this individual here, being so identified with its sense of identity, is asking the question from this seeming individual who claimed that these contractions, this feeling is anger that I'm feeling, and it already has a justification for that. The moment you have a justification for a feeling or an emotion, it's very difficult to untrap from that experience. You see? But if everything is seen as just that, okay, right now this intense emotion is felt. I don't have to label it anger, even though it may appear to be that way. But if there's no story to support it, you see, then it has a place to walk away. See? And then the person says over here, it is very difficult for me to sometimes not to feel anger. Well, again, he's talking about it's very difficult for me. There's an identification with the me. I am the one feeling angry. But the thing is that no one is feeling anything. It's just a sensation. But it's personalized because we haven't investigated who I am. Who is this I that claims that it's feeling that anger? What if it's just a feeling that happens? You see? And without the seeming me, without the seeming identity, personal identity, then it's just that. You see? And then he continues, besides practicing forgiveness, if there's anything else more one can do. Once again, who is the one who's practicing forgiveness and for what reason? You see? When it's seen that there's no me, it's not seen by anyone personal, but I don't know what words to use. But when it's clear that there's just what is, there's nothing to do. It's just another palette in the canvas called human experience. Right now, this is what is felt, and then it's gone. You see? But if we don't hold on to it, by trying to give meaning or make a story around it, it's just an emotion. It's an intensity that just happens and it goes away. But trying to solve it keeps fueling it. And again, the problem here is that we haven't questioned, who am I? And again, it's not a question that the mind asks. I'm just simply pointing. So again, let's put it to the test. So you can see this is not theoretical. I'm not here trying to give information so you can have something to do in the future. I'm pointing to the obvious so you can rest in the obvious always. Let's put it to the test right now. I'm going to ask you. Just be. You're being always anyway. But once again, I had to use that language. Right now, you're being, aren't you? Are you not being? Don't try to intellectualize or analyze it because it's not for the mind. I'm just pointing to what is. And what is this beingness. This is it. Beingness. And that's what is. Always. You see? I'm pointing to what is always. It just happens that it's been overlooked. This is it. Now, is there anything wrong with beingness? If you say there's something wrong with it and you tell me what it is, that is a thought. You see? But without that thought, if there's anything wrong with beingness, and for that matter, is there anything right with beingness? No, it simply is. See, that is what is referred to generally as the background. And that is always, never changes. The invitation with these videos is to rest there. Not to figure out, why do I feel this way? Why people take advantage of me? Why do I want or don't want? It's not about figuring anything out, it's just to be there. And from that beingness, just notice what appears in it, and you are it. An emotion that is intense comes up. Okay, that's fine, that's just what's happening. Without a story, without a thought trying to somehow make a story around it. In this case, the story here is that people take advantage of me multiple times. That's a story. And the mind may suggest, no, it's not a story. It did happen. No, it did not happen, because right now all that there is this. And in this is all there is. But if I go to the mind will tell me a story about a past. But there's no past. And there's no future. This is it. Put it to the test. The reason why this seems to be so difficult, I use the reason if I know, but it just, again, this is how I'm expressing myself, is because the fear, the underlying fear, is to let go of the thing that I think I am. Is the fear of letting go of my identity. You see? That is what is referred to as the death of the ego. See, an ego is the belief that I'm a separate entity. So I need to hold on to an ego in order to keep believing that I'm a separate entity. But what we're inviting here, or the invitation here, is not to let go of the ego. You cannot let go of the ego. The ego is just a thought. It's a belief in a separation. However, you can live in this seeming experience while it lasts, so to speak, but with a mind that is not identified with the egocentric mind. And the way we do so is by resting in beingness and just sort of being the witness, the observer. And again, this is a limitation of language, because the observer implies duality. There's observer, and that's what is being observed, but I don't know what language to use. So I am pointing to the fact that I am. So if I don't try to come up with a story around this, whatever, about this emotion, which seems to be very convincing, look what these people did to me. And I ask, when people say, look what they did to me, I always ask the same questions. Where are they right now? If I'm angry because someone did this to me, where is that someone, so we can see if it's true that I'm angry because what someone did this to me. And what you always find, no matter what, is that right now all that there is beingness, untouched, unmoved, unperturbed, except that there's a thought that rises up that tells a story about what others did to me. You see? And because there's a feeling or a sensation, that story keeps fueling the feeling and the sensation, and then the mind wants to come up with a solution of that. I have to find the cause of this. I have to go deep into my own. You know what I'm saying? See, the mind is the one creating the trap, and it's the one that now we're using to try to untrap ourselves. But all that keeps doing is fueling the belief in this seeming me that is being questioned. Do you follow? You see that it's not complicated. Once again, right now, what are you or who are you without a story? Without believing any thoughts about you. And you realize that there's no answer to that. The only answer, if anything, is not an answer per se, but is I am. If I ask you who are you, generally speaking, my name is such and such, I'm a male or a female, I am from this country or whatever, this is what I do for a living, this is who I am, this is who I am. And in this case, this person, who I am a very angry person because somebody did this to me. It's a closed loop. Can't get out of it. You see? But what if the emotion can be felt but not judged? Then it's a passing cloud. What if the thoughts can be seen but not believed in? Just passing clouds. And what remains? What remains is I am. It just so happens that the I am we have confused with the I am this individual. And again, this is the point, this is the cause of all the troubles. That's why it's kind of a disappearance while I'm still experiencing being someone who lives in a world. But it's being seen with different eyes, you see, with a different mind. That's what is meant by living in the world with a mind that is none of it. And now any contraction is just that. Any thought is just that. And yet I remain as I am. And this is where this is pointing to. It's not pointing to any strategies as to what to do, how to handle this or whatever now. This is where this is pointing to. And that's what I said at the beginning of the video, that someone who's very identified with the semi-individual and the psychology, these videos are not for them. You know? So if anybody thinks that, you know, the anger has to be dealt with in a particular way and you have to look at the cause of it or whatever, again, these videos are not for you. That's fine. And who knows, maybe someone may benefit with that seeming approach. I am not here to discredit or discard any approach, but I am pointing to the beingness that I am, and this is not theory. Right now, are you not being? The sense of being, existence, that's all there is to it. That without believing the thoughts, that without making a story around a feeling or a sensation, is the peace that surpasses all understanding that this is all pointing to. But the thing is that you have to want that peace more than anything else. And that's not a choice that you made. That's what happens through you according to how life is unfolding. And life now is unfolding that you happen to be watching information like this one, and it's unfolding that it happens, or it seems that there's a me sharing this information. So act as if you are actually making the choice of not believing the content of the mind. That's all. Let's not make an issue around this. Just very simple. Right now, are you not being? And look at all the thoughts that are coming, you know, and maybe the feelings and the sensations. Okay, let them be. See, being. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Well, this is inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can become evident.